Hey everyone. Welcome to Uncle D's Basketball Life. Hey, welcome back to Uncle D's Basketball Life. Thank you for being with us today. I got a special guest with us. I want to welcome our sports AD, Todd Brown. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, thank you, Uncle D. I like that. But, I've been referred to as Unc before as well. I think now it's a derogatory, like a slang for being old, like boomer. But I like the name of the show.
It's okay. We can blame Rob. He made me change the name. So let's get right into it. Some questions. Tell everyone, kind of where you was born and where you grew up.
Well, it's not hard to say that I was born and raised here in Cedar City. I have a long family heritage here in Cedar City. Coach Jeter always likes me to tell the new guys when they come in he's like, hey, tell them about the house. And I have to tell the story of the house that is right next to the apartments where most of the team lives down here on Gateway on 3rd West was actually the house my dad grew up in. It was still owned by my aunt, still owned by the family. But I have lots of memories of that house, playing a big backyard, had a tractor back there that we would play on, a tree house, a big open irrigation ditch that was there. So that house created a lot of fun for me as a kid, and he likes me to tell that story. But a lot of heritage, and sometimes you don't know it until you learn things out. But it was, a number of years ago, discovered that my grandfather was one of the people who built the first stockyards here in town.
Wow.
So family history goes quite a ways back. Sheep farmers, which interestingly enough, my dad came from a family of 10, grew up as a sheep farmer, and all of them went away from farming as their career. Some of them picked it up as kind of a hobby, but they all distanced a little bit from that. But very strong ties to the community. Ranching was in my father's blood, loved the mountains, and married my mom, who was born and raised in Minersville, and then just been here ever since, other than leaving to serve a church mission, graduate school, and worked in California for about 6 years.
Yeah, you worked at
University Pacific. University Pacific. Yep, I did.
Pacific
Tigers. It was great. A great experience there too. Learned a lot as a very young professional, entry-level job. Had some very influential people there that have shaped my career and helped me out. And
nice.
Great mentors.
A lot of people don't realize that UOP had football back in the day, and John Gruden, some really famous coaches coached there, started their career there.
Pete Carroll's one of them too.
Pete Carroll, yeah.
A number of big-time coaches came through that Pacific program that is no longer in existence.
Right.
But you're right.
Yeah. So I know that because I lived in Stockton for 5 years, and thinking about selling my house right now.
That's right. I forget that we always have that Stockton connection, that we both have the opportunity to live in Stockton, California.
So I found out something last week just passing by, and I didn't know it. So you and Sean went to school together.
Yes, we were both graduates at the class of '93 at Cedar High.
And Sean is our ticket guy who runs our ticket office and everything. We were laughing about that. Is there anybody else you went to school with in the office?
There's a lot of people. Not in the office anymore. There used to be Nate Esplin, who used to be our finance person, class of '93. So there's a few others floating around on campus.
That is funny.
Here.
And then I remember when I met with Megan at BZI, and then I brought her up here, and y'all knew each other because you went to school together.
She did. I think she was a little younger than me, but back when I was going to college here, we worked at Walmart together.
Yeah, so those are funny stories, man. Terry, tell everyone how long you have been at SUU and all the different roles you've played here since you've been here.
Well, it was, kind of an interesting story how we even came back. Once after I graduated and went to graduate school at Ohio University for athletic training, the year after that, there was a job that popped up for athletic training, and I looked at my wife, and she kind of hemmed and hawed and wasn't ready to come back to Cedar, and so we ended up in California, and this job kind of seemed to resurface about every year, and after about 6 years in California, had kind of a hardship that we were dealing with as a family. My wife had just had a pregnancy that had terminated itself, and was kind of feeling a little bit down, and the job popped up, and she asked the question she always asks, well, what's the salary? And I told her, and this time she didn't laugh. And I said, does that mean something? And she said, well, maybe it's time. And so we made some sacrifices to get back here, but things happened very quickly, and we were lucky to get back in a short period of time. So we came back in 2007. I came back as an assistant athletic trainer, and 1 year after that, we were out at football practice double days, and the head athletic trainer, Ricky Mendini, comes out. We're watching football, and he looks at me and he says, well, I just got out of staff meeting, and the athletic director said, hey, if you know anyone who has a degree, who loves to work hard, and is a quick learner, he's looking for the compliance position. It's been open. And I looked at Ricky and I said, well, is that a hint, Ricky? And he's like, well, it's a lot more money than you make right now. And I said, and a lot less travel. And so I reached out to the athletic director, and he said, hey, let's get together and talk. And that transpired pretty quick. I stepped into the compliance role that year and stayed there for quite a number of years until I really, we had the Intermountain Health contract previously, and it kind of dissipated. And there was a need for us to really get back in and start managing our own athletic training and healthcare. And so I stepped back into athletic training at that time, full time, and oversaw athletic training for a few years, and then stepped back in after that as deputy athletic director to oversee more of the internal operations of the department.
Man, that's pretty cool, actually. So you are a sports AD. Tell everyone the teams that you have as a sports AD and what you do for us.
I don't know that I do anything for you other than maybe make you laugh once in a while or come down and joke. No, I felt that my job always as a sport administrator is to make the job of the coaches as easy as it can be. When things come that are difficult or they're wanting things to get done, and I think Tom said it well, and almost every athletic director I've worked with has always had this approach that when a coach comes, do your best to try and get them the answer. Try and get them to that point where you can help them be successful. And I like the way Tom kind of described it. He said, my initial inclination is to always want to say yes to a coach. Yeah. But I've still got to go through and look at things and just know that if I ever come back and it's not a no, it's not because I didn't want to, but there may be other things that are restricting me from being able to do that. So I feel as a sport administrator, that's the main job, is just to help the coach navigate what things need to be navigated from an administrative standpoint. How does budget look? Well, here's the budget. Well, what ways can we utilize our budget? And that's what I really feel the role as a sport administrator is.
Okay. Well, I know that Coach Jeter really appreciates you, as the rest of us do. Just because, you've helped us win NIL, you've helped us figure out money games, and you've helped us sit down and with contracts and everything. So I just want you to know that you're very appreciated in the basketball family. Our head guy, Coach Jeter, loves you to death. So I just want to tell you how much we appreciate you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot, but it also it talks about your character as well. The coach that he is there, he wants to work, he wants to do things the right way, and that's what I enjoy helping out with. I feel I have the easy job. You guys still have to go out and get the players to accomplish what they need to accomplish and win games, and that's a difficult job sometimes.
So let me ask you a question about that. A question would be for you, like, how did you help Coach decide on opting in? And we all had the conversation, Coach sat down, like, what you think, dude? Because I think he was on the fence a little bit about it. And I was never on the fence.
For me, I think it came down to this. We know that we are an institution that doesn't have a ton of resource. Right. We're not someone out there that's ever going to touch that cap of the $20 million that you can actually use in revenue share to players. We're never, maybe not in my lifetime. At some point, I hope we can get there. But $20 million is more than our entire operating budget for the department.
Right.
So why would it make sense to opt in? And I looked at it as an opportunity because of those difficulties we have a difficulty with raising enough money to get facilities built quickly, to push the needle in that direction, to do all the other things that the schools are doing. But we looked at this as an opportunity of there's a way that we can make some quick change that will actually benefit us. And as we had those conversations and it was hard, it wasn't that we said, hey, here's more money that we're just giving to you, Coach. It was, we can do this and we think this is the right thing to do, and there's a number of reasons why. But at the end of the day, we're not giving you more money to accomplish this.
Right.
We're giving you an option to do some things to generate more revenue if that's what you feel you need to do for your team.
Absolutely.
And through those conversations, he kind of took the bull by the horns, and this is kind of an experiment, and said, hey, let's run with it and go. I mean, that became a responsibility you had to take on, which I think you've done well in scheduling games to help us get some of the things we need to go find players, to have those conversations, to navigate how do we do this now, because we're not only talking about scholarship, and now you can scholarship 15 guys, but hey, I can also do revenue share, and here's what that looks like. It's a whole new world, and you guys have navigated it, I think, well, and I hope the results will show this year on the court.
Yeah, we have to do some navigating for sure, but it's been fun. Just you're doing something new. I think you just, as the time changes, you have to change. I mean, that's just part of it. We laugh about the NIL, we laugh about the transfer portal, but it's just part of the game now. And so portal hurts the high school kid a little bit, but like right now, we've been blessed enough to find 3 pretty good high school kids, and man, got Kel from Utah, and getting Ja from Florida late because of the Najee Muhammad deal that happened with us. And so we got 3 pretty good freshmen, we feel like, and Zep from Atlanta. So, but the Najee was different. And actually, the funny thing, we met him text yesterday, because we were talking about the kid who played in the G League, and
that is getting eligibility
back. And he's like, Coach, I can't believe it. And we just continue to talk about some things, and he got some things that he's going to do that he probably should do. And but it's crazy. It's crazy to me, it's always been crazy about who get waivers, how they get waivers, why they get waivers. And it's just, I know back in the day, I'm going to say a name, Tark and Lou Olson, both of them, rest in peace, when they were at the lower division ones like Long Beach State, they would always talk about how they felt like the big schools kind of got what they wanted, and always, they felt like the little schools didn't quite get the same treatment. And so, but
and that's the reality with the House settlement. There's a number of positives that are there, and President Baker of the NCAA will tell you those things, and I think he's right that really the House settlement locks all of the collegiate institutions together for at least 10 years. So we've got some time to figure this out, how we continue to stick together and work with those bigger schools and find where we can have the common ground and work together and still do what we've done for years and provide the opportunities that we provide for not only student athletes but communities. I think athletics in this community, part of the reason I'm here and continue to work in athletics is athletics was a big part of my childhood too. My dad bringing me, I think we're sitting right now in what used to be the old field house.
Oh, wow.
And coming down and watching games with my dad in that building, being recognized by student athletes, you felt special. Having someone, that is on that caliber and that stage who actually sees you and would talk to you and engage with you. And there's a part of me that still feels that this institution provides something for this community that is special. This is a community where not every family has the means or the ability to leave Cedar City and to go experience the world, to go places, New Zealand, Australia, or other foreign countries in Europe, wherever it may be. But this institution brings those people here.
Absolutely.
And allows kids who can never leave and families who don't have the opportunity to leave to have an experience of what life is like somewhere else. And I think that was a key thing they provided for me. And that's a key component of why I stay and why I continue to push and work in athletics, because let's be real, it's not always the easiest thing.
Absolutely.
And there's times where you'll go months without a day off because you have an event. But I think it's something special, and it can provide something special. This institution as a whole, and athletics specifically.
Yeah, SU is a special place, and the fans have come out, and the students, came out big for football. When first football game, like it was great to see all those students. Hopefully, we'll see them at the first home game for basketball.
We will. If your team gets out and engages with the students, that's one thing I've always said is students here want to know too. It's the same thing. It's no different than when I was a kid. That if they know that someone that is participating has gotten a personal connection with them, they're more likely to go.
They come out
and so the more we get your student athletes and the men's basketball team out engaged in campus, I think the more we will see students come and support student athletes.
Absolutely. So I got a fun question for you right now.
Okay.
Where did you meet your wife? How long you been married? And then how many kids do you have?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot with that. Funny story. I came to SUU on a music scholarship.
Okay.
A
music scholarship?
Music scholarship. I did come here on a music scholarship. I came, played music all through high school.
Okay.
I had percussion and really enjoyed jazz band. Loved jazz band. Played out there. And Steve Schertz is a great mentor of mine, still in town.
So what's your instrument?
Percussion.
You
the
said
drums.
percussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
Interesting story. 1997 was how many years after the university was founded?
I have no idea.
100 years. 1897, right? Institution was established in 1897. So they're doing the 100-year celebration. And in band that year, I'd just come back off my mission, but in band that year, they'd actually commissioned someone to write a specific musical number for the 100-year celebration.
Okay.
And it had a ton of percussion pieces. And the person, we didn't have enough percussionists. And in a presidential ambassador, my wife was a presidential ambassador, they had some kind of get together or something, and there was another kid in band, and they were talking, and it came up that she played percussion in like middle school. And he said, "Oh, well, we've got this piece that has a lot of percussionists. Would you be in need for percussionists? Would you be interested?" And so she said, "Sure." So one day I'm walking into band, and there's another percussionist next to me, and we see good-looking blonde standing up on the back by the percussion stuff, and I look at him and I said, "Hey, it looks like they finally got someone for us." Little did I know that about 5-6 months later we'd be married, and
Wow.
So got married in 1997. So you can do the math. We're close. 28 years.
28 years.
Going on. We have 4 kids. My oldest just got married at the end of August.
Oh, wow.
Second old and finished school here. Graduated with his degree this summer. He and his wife now. I can say that. I don't have to call her his fiance, but they both graduated this past year. She's working as a nurse in the emergency room here in town now, and he's selling cars at the dealership, trying to figure out what he wants to do. Wants to work in the airline industry, and we'll progress towards that at some point, but is happy to be here. Next one is down at the school down south. Don't like to mention that, but she's down there. She wants to become a nurse. Just took the nursing test that you have to take and scored really well, and is excited to get moving forward. And then I have 2 other kids, a daughter who's a senior in high school at Cedar High, and a son that's a freshman.
So you got 2 and 2.
2 and 2.
Man.
Yep, bookended some girls with boys.
That's good. I think the girls are a little easier. I'm finding out though. I got twins. That'll be 11. So, and
Hey, shout out to them. My favorite students at East Elementary. Right? That's my elementary. I tell them that all the time. That's the school I went to. That's the place.
Now we're going to talk about music, right? Talking about music. Now, in high school, I was really good in drama, and I did some orchestra in high school. Now, can you guess what instrument I might have played?
If you did orchestra, I'm going to go with either the cello or the bass.
I did the cello. Was the first instrument, and I was pretty good at it, which is,
We'll have to bring one out and let you strum
I
some.
don't know if I can do it no more. I used to be able to speak Spanish too. I can't do that no more either.
I can still play a little. This past year, I decided Steve Schertz is now retired from the high school, but he conducts a community band, and he's kind of hit me up. So this last winter, I actually did go and participate, and it was pretty fun to get out there and play again. And I think it's different. I basically just use my hands and read notes. If I had to blow through an instrument, it'd be a whole different story because that takes a lot more upkeep than maybe just being able to pound on some things.
Everybody laugh at me when they ask me, like, well, what's your favorite movie? And I say Grease, but they don't understand the musical background So they're like, Grease?
Grease.
Grease? Really?
High School Musical, they did it. I was part of the band, except they incorporated us on the stage instead of being the pit orchestra.
But, I still got, I still like my Scarface and, the Warriors back in the day. But yeah, Grease is one of my favorites. Like, I can watch Grease 2 or 3 times in a week.
All right. When I hear you singing Beauty School Dropout, I'll know why.
What was your reaction to Doug resigning when you first heard about it?
A little bit disheartened. Doug was a great mentor. I feel every athletic director I've had the opportunity to work with has challenged me in ways and helped me grow. And Doug was one who I got his vision. I got what he was about and how he moved. And so when that news kind of came, it was a little tough. A lot of that is because it's uncertainty. It would be the same as when a head coach takes another job or goes somewhere as an assistant coach. You just don't know what that means for you. Do I need to start looking for another job? Am I going to be okay? What does this mean? How does the transition work? And so all those emotions come in, and I sat on it through the weekend. He let me know on Friday that it was going to happen, and then it was we had a holiday on that Monday, so I came to work Tuesday and got a phone call from President Benson, who just said, I know you're aware, and here's where we're going. And in that conversation, I reflected that President Benson has the best intentions of making sure that this institution moves forward in a way that represents her goals and her visions for us, as well as just community engagement, and have to put, as I had before, my trust in her that she's making the right decisions and moving forward. And so far, she's proven she has. And that covers over even to having Tom come on. That's been fun. I've enjoyed that. And we can talk a little bit more about that if you've got some specific questions.
Yeah. You know what? I really like President Benson. I think she knows her student body. She supports athletics. And she's a neat lady. And plus she's a Chicago Bear fan, which I am. So we have that in common. She was teasing me the other day. She was like, I'm taking, I think she said like 42 people up to the Raider game this weekend. I think Sunday the Raiders play the Bears. So that'll be fun. So
that's right. And you get the former T-Bird on the Bears.
Yeah, you got the former T-Bird
starting
on the
left tackle.
I thought about actually going up there. I think we're going to end up with a recruit on campus. So, but yeah, she's a neat lady. I mean, as we speaking of Tom, right? How you feel like he's stabilized the department as the intern AD so far?
What's been refreshing with Tom is he's a judge. That's his world, like legal, and then he's been a judge for so many years. He's not uncomfortable in making decisions. And I shouldn't say that other people are uncomfortable, but I believe the way he goes about it is fair. He's not emotional, because he can't get emotional. He looks at the facts and he processes through it, and he comes to decisions that are there. A number of times, and he gets things. He's a quick study, and that's what I enjoy. Just yesterday, he had a question about something. I came in, I gave him the numbers, and we talked it all through, and he's like, all right, I get it now. And he's not afraid to do the work. I've really enjoyed it. What I've found more enjoyable was, I believe he kind of made this statement that, man, it feels a little bit different. These losses feel a little bit different when you're working in the department. And I said, oh, good. I'm glad, because you're there, you understand it, now you're a part of it, and that you want everything you can do to make sure that a team can be successful. And when it's not, it hurts. It does. And no one likes it. Jason Biedekofer, a former athletic director, said this once, and it was about golf. I'm like, well, why don't you come out and play golf with us? He's like, because I'm no good. I said, so what? It's fun. Just come play golf. And he's like, no, I'm the kind of guy that I hate losing more than I like winning. And because I can't play golf good, it's not happening. So, but I feel that, those losses sometimes are harder to deal with than the wins.
Yeah, it was funny when we had our other day on on abusive coaching. He had made a comment, and I almost said he said that the win and losses for him don't matter as much as the character and us moving in the right direction. I almost said, well, the win and losses would get us fired, but I held back, and so I almost said that. I think he felt like he don't say it, but and it's true. I mean, everybody want to win, and when you're not winning, it put pressures on ADs, it put pressures on the president, and just that, and that's just part of it. You know, I had a famous JUCO coach in Cali, Percy Carr, rest in peace. I think he's the all-time winningest JUCO coach in Cali. Said to me, as long as you continue to coach, you will get fired. And he was absolutely right. We did get fired at San Jose State after 10 years, but I mean, we did 10 years, which is a good run. But he was absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know, and you know the funny thing is you really don't get to enjoy the wins as much as you want because you got the next game is coming. You know, so but
and success. I don't think people understand, and I can be way off on this analysis, and it's just my kind of perception. Everyone expects someone to be, excuse me, really good. But in order to do that, you've got to win a lot of games a lot of the time. And having a win percentage above 500 is a very difficult task. It's similar to baseball. I mean, what's a good batting average? 30% of the time you're effective.
Right.
You know, coaching winning is right around some of that too. Only the really exceptional ones are the ones that are going to be above, because the law of statistics, for someone to be really good, that means someone's not winning games. And so somewhere through there is the average, and where is the good place, and where does the exception, and where does the cream kind of rise to the top?
Well, winning is hard.
Yeah.
And I think people take that for granted, that winning games is hard. It's hard to win. That's another reason why I have appreciation for Coach Jeter, because he's won a lot as an assistant coach, and he's won a lot as a head coach. And I think it's a matter of time before we get things, you know, moving back in the right directions here. And I think we're on the right track with this team. I believe it's probably the best team we've had since we've been here, just as a collective.
It is. They look a lot different.
Yeah.
Their attitude, their demeanor, they seem to be excited to be here and they're hungry. They're hungry to play, and that's what I like.
I believe they're hungry. We still got to get better with physicality and defense, but we're deeper. You know, last year, people forget, like, we started off 8-2 last year, and then some of them, the injuries hit hard, and to Don Ford and Tavy Jackson, which, you know, they were a big part of what we done. So now you leave kind of Jameer on an island by himself, trying to you know, do what he can to win games. So, but I think we're deeper, and that will help.
Hey, speaking of cellos, I just saw a cello walk by. Should we go grab it?
Nah, I think my cello was bigger than that, actually.
You were just smaller.
Yeah, I don't remember right. I want to ask you, what things do you want to see change as far as basketball, athletics in general, like in the department, to help the success of the athletic department, men's basketball specifically? No, I'm just playing, but just in general.
In general, I would love to see us figure out a way to have really good retention. In this world with the transfer portal, that's going to be hard. So what is it that we can do? Because this experience is special. You have people that have decided to stay. You know, what was it? Tap into things like you've got Ava on the women's basketball team who's decided to stay, who's really come back and I think blossomed. Watching her practice so far this year, I've enjoyed watching her. She's changed. She's ready. She's hungry.
Yeah,
she wants
she's
it.
Been working
she's
all
been working
summer.
hard, and it shows, right? But she could have had opportunities to go places, but she chose to stay. So what was it about that, and how do we kind of capture that and try and do that the best we can across all our programs, where we're able to bring kids here and keep them here? At some point there's going to be this shift. There always is. That we're getting to a point where, you know, Hall of Fame and career stats and being recognized somewhere is going to be harder to do because kids are always looking for the next thing. Well, when do we get that back in their mind that, hey, sticking around and doing something special at somewhere is just as important as maybe chasing a few more dollars? And I will say this is something I want to talk about so far with the players we've brought in. I've been very impressed with how they've come in. No one's coming in with the entitled, "This is mine, I deserve it." They've come in, they've been humble, they've worked about it the right way, they've asked the right questions, and they've been grateful. And that's been refreshing. And I think that's a credit to you and the staff for finding student athletes who do that. So now it's the next step. We've been able to do that. How do we bottle that up and get kids hungry enough that they want to stay and build something special?
Good luck.
It is, and that's the challenge, right? That's what I'm looking at, is saying that's the biggest challenge, is how do we now find that? How do we get that ingrained within coaches and the things that we do as an institution that help kids understand we're building something special here, building a story. I've always thought about that. How cool would it be like the Remember the Titans group, or the McFarland group, or how do you get that, and how do we capture that and almost tell people we're going to build this story and you're going to be a part of this story, and let's do something that decades down the road people look back out and say that was special. That's a story.
I think what I've noticed, women sports have a better are better at retaining their players for the most part. And, basketball, softball, like I rarely hear anybody leave gymnastics, right? I mean, you hear it, but here, because they're so good, you rarely hear. So I think women is a little bit, I guess, easier, I want to say, than the men part, because the men have so many people in their ear. They're getting agents, you got the parents. And so I think it's a little bit hard on the men's side to retain guys, even though we were able to retain Lorenzo from last year and Kai Burdick. But those kids are different because they want to work and be a part of something. But it's just hard on this side because you got the agents in these guys here, that the guys who get agents. And that was the other thing. A lot of the guys we end up getting, we didn't have to deal with a lot of agents this year. I'm sure that's going to change, but at some point. But it's just harder, you rarely hear. I mean, like, you got the young lady that's left Stanford, the pitcher, and went to Texas Tech and got $1 million. Well, that's rare on the women's side, but it's not on the men's side. And so I think it's just hard, because if we win 20 games and we do something miraculous and win a conference tournament or something crazy like that, we got guys who run the league because because of us winning, and just the pool of money that they can get. It's just hard. I mean, we had that talk with Don Ford last year, Coach Jeter and myself, and it was like, it's time, because they just offered them too much money where we couldn't compete with that. And the same with Jamila. So those guys become really hard to retain. And unless you find a kid who's just special, that say, hey, I want to retain and be here. But it's a great question, because you don't. I mean, how do you decide on who go in the Hall of Fame now as a player? So it's an interesting dynamic. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, it was nice to be at the Hall of Fame dinner for the first time. I asked you, who runs that? Who sets that all up? And then also, how do you guys go about picking for the Hall of Fame here at SUU?
So it's now part of our external group. Jeff Tukuwafu, I believe, was the committee chair who kind of ran it. But he also set it up. Jeff just wasn't able to be there because he had just recently had the birth of his second boy, Jet.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Jeff and Amy. Cute little kid, and got an amazing big brother that's going to take great care of him, make sure he learns all the hard things in life, I'm sure. But Jeff kind of oversaw that. But Becca Cardenas really took the lead and just made sure, hey, this thing's got to get done and get taken care of. And she's done a great job.
Nice.
In that. The selection process, and what we've decided to do is, rather than have an induction ceremony every year with a smaller class, we're going to have an induction ceremony every other year with a larger class. And I believe that will help us make the event a much better event and allow people the opportunity to come and participate in ways they have. The selection process is that the committee gets together. they open it up for nominations, and there's criteria for certain things for the different areas. The legacy one doesn't necessarily have to meet some of the athletic criteria or different things that are there, but each person has to have certain criteria that they need to meet. And then they evaluate it. The committee, the whole committee will look over it and then vote. And based on their votes and the individuals that receive votes determines the class that's inducted. And there will always be a team that will be inducted. There will always be a legacy. And then from that, it's open to coaches and players past that point.
Nice. So last year you did, you put together something for a football player that passed away, Webb. I know his daddy is always grateful. Matter of fact, he said hello. I talked to him last night and he asked about you.
He still hits me up with some text messages and I love getting them.
Yeah, so that's my guy. Just explain why you felt like that was important to do something for him last year.
I felt it was important for the parents because their son had actually accomplished something that never truly got recognized.
Okay.
And so we needed to do it for them. And sometimes those memories, loss is hard. And I talked about this the last time we were there. I learned that at a young age. At 14, lost my brother. Mm-hmm. And still to this day, there's little reminders. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional. There's still little reminders that come forward that remind you of their impact and that kindness needs to be extended. Yeah. And unfortunately, I'll share a little bit about this. We had to go to a meeting at the school district with my daughter, and we were getting through the meeting with the individual, and I was pretty sure that her husband was the one that was driving the car when in the accident my brother was killed in.
Wow.
And I just felt this impression just to tell her, hey, I need you to know, because my dad had just recently passed away before this, and I just had to tell her, I need you to know that my parents never taught any ill will. The story is that he just fell asleep and woke up and overcorrected on a turn. There was never any ill will towards you. My parents never felt any of that. And I can't imagine what it would be like to have to go through life knowing that a lapse in something that happened cost someone their life. I can't imagine what that's like. But you need to know that as a family, we've never harbored any ill will. Like, life is what life happens to be and how you deal with it. And so those little things pop up. Constant reminders, of my dad. Constant reminders. My wife, lost her mother this past year too. Just there's all these things that just happen, and life has a way of reminding you of the special moments to remember people are there. And that was really, the initial thought that happened in wanting to do that for them when I learned of his son's death, of Vaughn's son's death. But then it became more apparent once there became that personal connection with you, like, wow, this means more now. There's someone who's going to get this, and he's going to understand that it's not just some kind of gimmick, that this is really real. Heartfelt, and really what needs to be done. And so that was really the drive and motivation for that. And it was the connection that you had personally with him that really got it flared back up in me, and that desire to say, all right, this was the right thing then, but this is really the right thing to do now.
He called me probably the day after it happened. With his son, Vaughn called me probably the day after, and we had a conversation because he know, man, I had 7 deaths in 7 years of significant, where I had a best friend, where my boys was there when he passed away of a heart attack, and then I had a wife pass away, and then one of my boys' best friend got killed by a drunk driver before he was actually getting ready to go to his football game, and then, then my dad, then I had 2 uncles go, and my, another best friend of mine that we were really close died during his basketball season. He was a coach at a junior college. So, then my daughter and granddaughter got killed, about 3 years ago in a car accident. So, loss is hard, and, everybody deal with it differently. And so, I try not to, I'm a person, if I hadn't went through it, then for me, all I can do is really pray about it. I'm one of those people, like I had a good friend of mine when my first wife passed away, he was like, man, I know how you feel. And I was like, you don't, because you're going to go home to your wife tonight. I'm not, so you don't know. So I'm a person, I try to think about, like, if I've been in that position, and what words can I give? And Vaughn knew I had lost my daughter and granddaughter. And so, it's just an encouraging word, but I mean, everybody deal with it differently. My wife still hurts from our daughter and granddaughter because, that granddaughter, even though we have other grandkids we're really close to because she spent a lot of time with us. So I was happy that you figured out a way to make sure that Dad got his degree because he did earn it, and because there was he hadn't paid something, he didn't get it, which Dad was mad about because he's like, why don't I just don't understand why he didn't say something? I would have paid for it,
It wasn't important, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes kids, it's just not important.
Yeah. So I think, man, you did that family a solid, and they're going to be always grateful for that. I know Vaughn is always grateful because I talk and see him all the time. Well, I talk with him all the time. So
But you're talking about that, and tragedy, trauma in life, it's hard. Everyone's going to experience it at some time. And for me, it became more personal when my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. And people ask all the time, let us know if we can do anything. I say that all the time. It's just the thing that people say, let me know if I can do anything. Here's the reality. For me, when I'm in that moment, I'm not thinking about the things that I need. And the process of going through to try and get someone to do something for me is way too much, right? Yeah. Like, I've got to think of all the logistics. And if I really ask you, you're really going to say it? If I need you to come and actually watch my kid for something.
Will you come do it?
Are you going to be able to drop everything and do it? So you can't get past that point.
Yeah.
But what stuck out with me is a number of things. And one day it was just a group of people from our church showed up and cleaned our house. And that was hard.
Wow.
Hard because you're proud, right?
Right,
and here's my house, and these people are going to come in and
clean it for you.
And maybe I'm not as clean as I think. All of these things. And I just had to suck that pride down and just say,
thank you.
But this is what's needed. And thank you. And that experience was really key. And you hear it all the time. And there's, even on our campus, there's a charter called Camp Kesem. Camp Kesem, I will forever be grateful for, because what they do is they give kids whose parents have or had cancer an opportunity to go to a camp and just be a kid and share that experience with other people, and really designed, and they do it for free. The kids get to go to camp for free. So I always tell people, hey, when you know of someone and they're struggling through cancer or they're struggling through the thing, find a way to help. And for me, my answer would be, if you want to help, if you say, let me know what I can do to help, this is what you can do to help support this cause so that other kids in this community have the opportunity to be able to go to something like that. And that's a lot what I felt with Vaughn and with Talon specifically. Was it's easy to say, let me know, but I can get it and I can do it for them.
So a couple more things real quick. I don't know if you will go for the AD job, but for me, selfishly, I hope you do and go after it and be able to get it. Have you put any thought into that at all?
There's always thought, and I've been asked the question a number of times since Doug resigned and now that Tom's in as the interim, and I'm not sure right now. I think what it's come down to is the same thing I talked about with President Benson before. I've got trust in her that she's going to make the decision that's in the best interest for this community and for this institution. And if I'm the person, I'm going to step up to the challenge and put it all in and make sure that I drive this program the way that she wants it driven. If I'm not the person, my responsibility is still the same. I will support the person who's ever there and make sure that we're pushing the direction that I need to push and how I can help. And so it will be one of those where I will need to have some conversations with people and what we need to do, because it's a different weight. I felt it when I was the interim the last time. It's a different pressure. You wake up with a different perspective on life every day. You go to sleep with a different perspective. There's a big burden that sits in that chair, and if I'm lucky enough to be the person that does it, I'll take that challenge on and rely on people that I trust and to make this thing go forward and push it forward and find the success that we all look for.
All right. Last thing is, are you on any social media? Where can people follow you?
Sure. I don't post a lot. Sorry, I'm just not that person where I post a lot. There's ebbs and flows, when we get into basketball season and things that go on, I like to post a little bit more. But on Facebook, I think I have an Instagram account, but I really don't use it much. I do have X. I have an X, and then I have an account on LinkedIn as well. So those are places that I can be found there. Sure.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on and being with Uncle D. I always got to give a shout out to Rob, my producer, and Ryan, who's made this possible with all of their help. I really appreciate them. We are out, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.